Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a car that's so rare, so bizarre, and so thoroughly Australian, you'd swear it was built after a 3-day bender in a shed full of washing machines and ambition. Welcome to the Cool Ideas channel, where we don't just review cars, we unearth the oddities history would rather sweep under the carpet. First, a massive, heartfelt thank you to our legendary YouTube channel sponsors. Without your support, I'd be forced to review Bob's rusty old lawnmower again. And trust me, that thing is neither vintage nor cool. It's just a tetanus shot waiting to happen. You keep the lights on, the coffee flowing, and crucially, fund my ongoing therapy after drivings like tonight's subject. Tonight, we take a journey through time, right to the heart of 1960s Australia, with the Lightburn Zeta Sports, the Microcar Roadster so rare, even Bigfoot thinks it's a myth. So buckle up. Unless you're driving a Zeta Sports, in which case, just hold on to anything you can, because seatbelts were strictly optional. Let's set the scene. It's post-war Australia. The economy is booming, Holden is cranking out family sedans, and Harold Lightburn, an industrialist best known for concrete mixers, fiberglass boats, and lightning washing machines, has a sudden epiphany. Why not build a sports car? I mean, what could possibly go wrong when a washing machine mogul decides to enter the auto industry? It's like asking Timmy to babysit your goldfish. Brave, sure, but you're going to need a mop. By 1963, Lightburn & Co. was employing over 500 people, none of whom had ever built a car before. No matter. Harold, inspired by Australia's surging car market, set out to deliver the nation's cheapest car, the Zeta Runabout. Priced at £595, about $1,200, back then, or somewhere between $11,000 and $15,000 today, it undercut imported microcars and even gave the beloved Fiat 500 a run for its money. If by run you mean slightly faster than walking. But Harold didn't stop at a sedan. No, he wanted a sports car for the everyman. In 1959, he bought the rights to the abandoned Frisky Sprint project from the UK, a car so obscure even British car spotters need Google Maps to find it. The original prototype, designed by the talented Gordon Bedson and Keith Peckmore, veterans of Keefed race cars, had Italian flair courtesy of Giovanni Michelotti and some genuinely snazzy gull-wing doors. Naturally, Lightburn's version ditched the doors altogether for rigidity. Translation: getting in requires the flexibility of a gymnast and the courage of a bullfighter. Bedson and Peckmore were lured down under, along with a shipment of 50 Fichtel & Sachs two-stroke engines sourced from Germany, because if you're going to make history, why not sound like a mosquito on steroids? After years of tinkering, tweaking, and realizing Australia's sunburnt climate is not ideal for cars without roofs, the Zeta Sports was born. In 1963, about 28 were built. Some say 48, but that's just Timmy counting after happy hour. The cars didn't hit showrooms until 1964, by which time the sedan was already a punchline, and the microcar market was cooling faster than Bob's enthusiasm for anything not wrapped in tinfoil. Only around 28 Zeta Sports Roadsters ever made it to customers, making it one of the rarest production cars in Australian history. Today, it's estimated that maybe 6 or so survive, most hidden away by collectors, and one proudly displayed at the National Motor Museum in Birdwood, South Australia. And yes, when a Zeta pops up for sale, the entire microcar world loses its collective mind. Let's talk tech, but don't worry, I'll keep it as entertaining as possible. At its heart, the Lightburn Zeta Sports packs a 494 to 498 cubic centimeters, air-cooled, two-stroke twin-cylinder engine sourced from the ZF Sachs factory in Germany. This powerhouse delivered a jaw-dropping 18 to 21 horsepower, 14 to 15 kilowatts, and around 33 newton-meters of torque, numbers that would impress no one. The engine sits at the rear, just ahead of the axle, powering the rear wheels through a 4-speed sequential manual gearbox inherited from the legendary Messerschmitt Tiger microcar. This means you get a proper reverse gear, a feature so advanced for the Zeta lineup that Lightburn's engineers probably celebrated with a pint. Unlike the Zeta sedan, which made you restart the engine in reverse, the Sports had a real honest-to-goodness reverse. The gear lever works like a motorcycle's, up and down, none of this H-pattern nonsense. And because there's no drive shaft cluttering the floor, you sit surprisingly low and flat, with decent legroom for a car that's barely bigger than a garden shed. The whole chassis rests on a lightweight steel backbone frame with all-independent suspension, a trick borrowed from Bedson's Kieft racing days. Up front, coil-sprung struts, at the back independent coils. Drum brakes all around, clamping onto 10-inch wheels that look like they belong on a pram. And how light is it? A mere 400 kilograms, 880 pounds, about half the weight of your average Holden of the era. That featherweight fiberglass shell means you could almost bench press it, assuming you don't have Timmy's hangover. The body's doorless design was borrowed from the equally oddball Gogo Mobile Dart. There's a folding soft top if you're feeling fancy, but let's face it, most owners probably braved the Aussie sun, wind and rain because fitting the roof required a degree in engineering. Visually, it's a showstopper, but not always in a good way. The front grille is inset, with two headlights mounted so low they practically scrape the road. In New South Wales, this was actually illegal, so Lightburn added an extra set of bug-eyed auxiliary lamps on stalks, giving the car a surprised frog look. The rear tapers sharply, bumpers are absent, so those headlights are first in line during any fender bender. Inside, you got not much. No heater, no radio, no fuel pump. The petrol tank sits up front, feeding the engine by gravity. Your fuel gauge? A transparent tube on the dashboard. The seats could be unbolted and removed if you needed extra luggage space, a feature more practical than it sounds. Performance? The Zeta Sports could hit 0 to 50 miles per hour, 0 to 80 kilometers per hour in about 12 seconds and cover the quarter mile in roughly 20 seconds. Top speed was theoretically 70 to 75 miles per hour, about 120 kilometers per hour, assuming a strong tailwind and a brave passenger. Fuel economy, however, was fantastic. Owners boasted of getting better than 50 miles per gallon, under 5 liters per 100 kilometers. The handling? Lively, twitchy, and best described as go-kart with a personality disorder. The car's short wheelbase and rear-engine layout meant plenty of fun, or terror in corners. Lightburn claimed train-like cornering, but unless you mean a train that's derailed, I'd say that's optimistic. No story about the Zeta Sports would be complete without a few tall tales. Harold Lightburn, bless him, entered several Zetas in the 1964 Ampole Around Australia trial, a 7,000-mile torture test that chewed up and spat out most of the competition. Against all odds, one Zeta finished the race, one of only a dozen cars to do so without structural damage. Yes, it finished dead last, but as Lightburn cheerfully pointed out, it finished. That's more than can be said for Timmy's last fishing trip. To this day, the Zeta Sports is known as Australia's ugliest sports car and white goods on wheels. Its odd looks, mixed parentage, and tiny production numbers have made it a cult classic, beloved by those who value individuality over convention. But here's where things get wild. After decades as the butt of collector jokes, the Zeta Sports suddenly became Microcar royalty. In 2013, a pristine example sold at the Bruce Weiner Microcar Museum auction for $51,750. Another, a one-off hardtop coupe, fetched $24,150. If you enjoyed this story, smash that subscribe button like Timmy after too many laggers. Support the channel for more oddball adventures, and remember, life's too short to drive boring cars. May your journeys be full of laughter, your engines two-stroke sometimes, and your neighbors just the right amount of eccentric.